how it can be so very essential to your students. Um, this presentation, I'll have it at the end where there is a QR code where you can scan to get the link, because there's some very helpful links embedded within the presentation. All right, so let's jump in. My name is AJackson. I am the instructional tech specialist in Richmond Hill Elementary School. I am a 20-year veteran teacher, 17 years as a third grade teacher, and this is my third year as the ITS at my school. I was introduced to Flipgrid in 2017, so about 3 years ago, by another colleague. She had just learned about it, and I learned from her. And then as soon as I learned, 3 days later, I was asked to present to another group of techies. So that was a little bit intimidating, but we all learned together. And since then, I have really enjoyed Flipgrid, and I have all the badges from my kids doing so much work with it when I first got started with it. So what is Flipgrid? Flipgrid is basically a video discussion platform. So it allows users to share their voice. And when I say users, it's not only for students. It was intended to be used. It was actually started with students in a PhD program. And it kind of caught on to elementary school students and kind of took off. So it's basically a way for students to use their voice to express themselves in a discussion setting. You provide the topic, and then you get to watch your students show their skills. So whatever you want students to talk about becomes your topic. They get to share, and their classmates respond via a video. So here's a quick example of what a Flipgrid video would look like.
My name is Ryan. The best thing about second grade is my teacher. This is my favorite thing because she teaches us so much things that are new.
So short and sweet. It's just his response to a discussion question to kind of get the students used to Flipgrid in the first place. Oops, wrong way. So ideas for using Flipgrid, the ideas are endless. The possibilities are endless. You can use Flipgrid for every subject. You can use it for getting to know you activities. Here are some things that I jotted down that students can use them for. And then here are 3 links to some awesome Flipgrid ambassadors who have created Padlets and Bunsey sites that give other ideas. So this one is from Erin Wilson, and this is basically like a getting started. So she has it color coded, ideas for students, ideas for professional development, family and community connections, which is big for us right now with e-learning opportunities, and then ways if you want to go further and get certified in Flipgrid. So that is her Padlet just about Flipgrid. This one is more of a Bunsey, kind of the same thing, just going through the steps for Flipgrid, how you would use it, why it's important. And this one is also a Padlet that's similar to the first, but it has more resources. This is another fantastic resource. It's 41 pages, but it's an e-learning user guide, basically. It has links embedded in it galore. So it's very helpful when you're learning about Flipgrid. It gives you all the topics, and of course they're linked, so you would click on what you're looking for and it takes you directly to that page that talks about that thing. And like I said, there are links within. So there's a link that takes you to more details about that topic. So that's a very helpful resource there. So Flipgrid is very big on Twitter. And if you are on Twitter, I would highly suggest following these guys. They have really helped me to build my thought process with Flipgrid and getting some ideas of how I could teach my students. They if you follow also the hashtag Flipgrid or hashtag Flipgrid Fever, there are always teachers posting things that they do with their students, and it'll give you more ideas on Flipgrid. And when you get this link at the end, the link and the QR code that takes you to this, clicking on any of these pictures will take you directly to their Twitter page. So just making it a little bit easier for you guys. And then these are some other resources that I have come up with or found and placed in the presentation. This one just talks about certification. If you want to get certified, learning more, digging deeper into what Flipgrid is and how to use it. More user guides over here. And then I gave you some links to 3 of the topic boards that I have created, just some ideas. This one is Be the Teacher. So basically, you're telling the students, you're the teacher and you're grading papers. A student made a mistake. Record yourself fixing the problem and explaining it to the students. So that's just one idea of an activity where the students get to be the teacher and do some item correction, item analysis type things. This one was really cute too. How we get new students. We always get new students throughout the year. So we had a Flipgrid board, just welcome to our class. So every student recorded themselves, introducing themselves and telling something about themselves. And as we got new students, the new students were able to go in to record themselves as well. So we always had a class bank of students, their names, their pictures, interesting things about them. It was also helpful when we lost students, so we didn't forget them. But it was very helpful for those students who joined us throughout the year. And then another favorite for 3rd grade teachers at my school is just with reading fluency. So the teacher would post this, give the students a passage to read, and just let them read fluently on Flipgrid. So they'll record themselves reading just for practice. The teacher could go back and give feedback. And I also like that the students were asked to do 2 glows and a grow. So as they listened to their classmates reading, they were able to give compliments and also suggestions as to how to become a better reader. So that was a very good way for them to learn how to communicate effectively with their peers. So my information, if you have any questions after this is over about how to use Flipgrid, some other ideas, you are welcome to email. My school email address is here, and also the Tech Advocate on Facebook and Twitter. So let's dive into playing around with Flipgrid. Oh, I'm sorry. And I'll leave this up at the end. This is the QR code and the link that gets you to this presentation. But I'll put this back up at the end so everybody will have time to take a picture or write down that link. So Flipgrid, very, very simple to set up. Microsoft has partnered with Flipgrid, so it will always be free to teachers or anyone who is using it. It used to be a basic package that was free, and then an upgraded package that costs. And when Microsoft purchased Flipgrid, they decided that they wanted to be free to all educators, which was awesome because there's so many things. And about every month or two, Flipgrid is adding new features. They are very good at listening to their clients, the teachers and people that work on Flipgrid for them, and they incorporate those ideas and suggestions all the time. So here is what Flipgrid would look like when you log in. So Flipgrid has grids and topics. I look at a grid as a binder. So I would say a grid would be, as a classroom teacher, I may have a math grid. Inside of that math grid would be my topics. So in my math grid, I may have a board for geometry. I may have a board for shapes. I may have a board for addition with regrouping. The topics inside of the grid are kind of like the subjects inside of your binder. So the grid is the binder. The topics are the tabs in your binder. So let's say I want to set up a new grid. Let's say I want to add a grid. I would go to add grid, and it's really self-explanatory. Goes through the steps. There's some things that are required, some that are not. Let's say I want math as the name of my grid. So I would type in math. The grid type is basically how your students will log in. So at our school, our students' usernames are very similar to our email addresses. So we usually have our students go in with their email address because they log into their Chromebooks even as soon as they get them. So it automatically saves their Google account. So you can have students log in with an email address. It will give you a list or let you create a list of student ID numbers. And you can give the student their unique ID number for them to log in. This one would be more for adults if adults are using it for PL reasons or professional development. So I would select how I want my students to log in. And then on the grid, the binder, you can make your username, or I'm sorry, you can make your flip code unique. So I want it to be Jackson Math 2020. Oh, it's not available. Jackson Math 20. So I click next. And remember I said the kids are logging in with their school email addresses. So at brian.k12.ga.us is how adults would log in, but my students would log in with s.brian.k12.ga.us. So as long as their email address or their username has that domain at the end, they'll be able to log in. So my grid is ready. My grid has been created. So now there's my grid. Down here are going to be my topics. So let's say I want to add a new topic. Let's say we're doing, let's just say we're doing graphs. So no, let's say we're doing the math item analysis. So I would type in the title of the activity.
You have a question?
Yes.
Do you have to use the @ to add email?
If your students have that capability of using an email address, then yes, it has to start with the @ symbol that starts the domain. That answer that question?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. So we have the title of the activity, and then we get to choose a recording time. Think about the activity and how much time your kids will need, because what I have noticed over time is the more time you give the students, the more time they think they have to talk. So they may finish whatever they're working on in 45 seconds, but if it's set to a minute and a half, they're going to keep rambling because they think they have to cover that amount of time. So think about the activity and how you want it, what you want them to say when you are picking how much time you're assigning. So let's say I'm going to give them a minute. So then the prompt is your directions. You are grading your students' work. You notice a mistake on a math problem. Tell us what the mistake is and how to correct it. So that's basically the directions on what you would normally tell your kids orally. You could just put that in and they can always refer to that if they get confused on what the directions are. So now just to add a little fun, they give you all types of of things that you can add as an image. So I always like, my kids love it, just finding different gifts. I'll look for math. I'll get that guy. So that'll be the picture, the focus picture that they'll see. Those are the things that you must include. But if you click on more options, there are a little bit more things that you can also include. Let's say I had an attachment with a specific problem that I wanted them to correct. I can add either a URL to a website or a Google Drive link. I can add a YouTube video. I can add something from Dropbox. I can add a link that would take them to that attachment for them to use. Right here, this is one of the a very important part, especially when you're working with younger kids, because sometimes before you want them to present to everyone, you want to see what they have to say first. So it's kind of like you're moderating the videos. So what would happen is the students would record their video, but it would not post instantly. They'll record their video and you will get an email telling you that someone has added a video. Once you approve it, then it will post to Flipgrid. So a lot of teachers use that because, especially in the beginning when students aren't really used to it, they like to just play. And I would always give my kids just a silly topic for them to get the sillies out and play, and then let them know that from here on out, we have to follow the rules and do exactly what they're asking us to do. But the video moderation is very good for making sure that everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Student to student replies. You may or may not want your students to reply or respond to someone else's video. So you could toggle that on or off so that students can reply. A launch and freeze date, you can set the date that it starts and the date that it freezes. So after that freeze date, no one else can add to that topic. So down here are some more features when you do your video. At the end, students will be able to do a selfie or a video of themselves responding. You can turn that off. You can have it only selfies or only videos, up to you. Trimming and rearranging their videos. So all of these basically are self-explanatory, and they give a description of what it means. A lot of times I turn off the likes because I think our kids are very, very used to YouTube. So I have noticed a lot of my kids' videos, they'll say what they need to say, and then at the end they'll say, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe when you're done. And I'm like, guys, this is not YouTube. That's not what we do. I don't want them to focus on the likes. I want them to focus on what they have to say and getting their point across. So a lot of times I'll turn that off until I know that they'll focus on what they're supposed to be doing. So then I create my topic. So once I create my topic, I can't make any changes to the topic code. I could only change and make an original grid code. That's the one that had math. But this one, it gives me, I can't change it. Lots of ways you can share it. You can copy the link. You can add it to Google Classroom or send it on Remind. Google Teams, you can embed the code. And then you can also get a QR code that you can download if you want the kids to scan it. So that's it. So my board would look like this, and this is the teacher view. So this is what the teacher would see after they have assigned or they have created that topic. So from the student's point of view, this is what the students will see. So the students will see the grid name. They're in the math grid. And here is our assignment, math item analysis. There's that picture we added. Flipgrid also has immersive reader, so they can click here and it will read those instructions to them, which is awesome. And then when the students are ready to respond, all they do is click on the plus sign, and then the camera comes up where they get to record themselves telling about or answering the question that you've given them the prompt to. One thing that I love, there's a sticky note. I'm not always good at freestyling and talking off the top of my head, and I know a lot of students aren't either. So there's an option for a sticky note. So they can type out what they want to say and they can read from that sticky note, and it still looks like they're looking at the camera even though they're reading from the sticky note. So that is a very cool tool as the students get used to talking and presenting.
So you do have a question
Mm-hmm.
from April. She asked, if you have a moment, can you share your grid with topics, see what a completed grid looked like? Feel free to do that, but if there are student videos in that, I think it would be best if you not shared the grid, because we are recording the session and
Okay.
posting it. But if you do have one without student videos that's completed, that would be
I
great.
I can look and see, but I don't think I do. But I'll look. I'll look to see.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So
And we
that
have
was
We have
sorry.
we have another one. I tried using my iPhone to make a video, but it tells me to use my desktop computer to add a topic focus video.
Um, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that because I've made videos from my phone, from an iPad, from a desktop, the laptop. Um, it may be a setting on your phone that you would need to make sure that you can share video and sound with Flipgrid. But other than that, I'm not sure.
Oh,
I have
she
to
is.
look into that
I
one.
know. I just looked it up. Basically, whenever you said that the GIF was it was required,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't have to do a topic video. You can also add a GIF or a picture or something
Oh,
else.
topic video.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry. I
It's all good.
misunderstood the question. I misunderstood the question. Okay, so um, let's see. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? So let's delete that. So here, these are optional. So you can do a GIF, you can do an emoji, you can upload a picture, or you can leave it blank. So there are different things that you can do. You can record yourself telling them what you want them to say. You can record yourself giving them the directions if you want. But these are all different options of what you could put there as your topic focus. All right, so back to the video. This is what the students would see when they're ready to record. And again, your sticky notes are here. And then if they forget what they're doing, they can click on the little book right here and it gives them the topic again. So it kind of reminds them of what they're supposed to be doing. So the kids would just click record. Uh-oh. It counts down for them. And then they record their response and they say what they want to say. They talk about whatever they want to talk about. It lets you pause, go back, continue. You can also redo it. I've noticed a lot of my kids also, they'll put a sticker so they don't want to see themselves or they don't want people to see them talking. So they'll do this and they'll put a sticker there and they'll record themselves talking. They'll record themselves talking with the sticker there so it looks like the emoji or whatever is there so they don't have to see themselves. All kinds of other little things you could do, drawings, and then there's a board in the background where they could draw out what they want to be seen on the screen. That becomes a part of their video as well. So then my board is done. I can add, there's just so many things that you can play with. And like I said at the beginning, when I always do this with my kids, I always give them time to play so that when it's time to record seriously, they are ready. So when they're done recording their video, they click next. So then my board is done. And after they are satisfied with their video, they'll take a selfie. And this is always the last step. And this is always where I have to tell my kids to stay focused because they get on the selfie part and then they want to add everything to make it look nice and cool. Um, so I'm just going to do that. But they have all these options down here of different things they can add to their selfie. They'll click next. And then their name will appear. Their name will appear however it is with their email address or username since they've already logged in. And then you submit your video.
Can you share a video or copy it across multiple grids?
I know you can share a topic across multiple grids. I'm not sure about a video. I know you can share different topics. I'll have to look into videos. All right, so this is still from the kids' view. So once they have done their video, their little selfie that they took shows up here. So when they go in, they'll be able to see all the other students that have responded and done videos as well. And other students will be able to click on those videos and respond from there. So then from the teacher side, here is, I have one response. So that tells me that one student has responded. I can click here to see that response. I can reply. Oh, I can reply back to that student. So I can record a video in response to that student. I can give them feedback. I can give them feedback here. I turned off the like button, but there will be a little heart right here that they can click on to like that video. I can star that video. So that means when the students go in, this will be the first one that they see, kind of like an example. So I can make that a feature response. If the video is not appropriate, I can go in here and I can delete the response. I can make it active or hide it. Now it says I can move a response. Let's see if that'll let me move it. So I can move it to different grids. So that response that I did, the video that I recorded, as the teacher, I can go into actions and I can move or duplicate that response. So that was a question someone asked earlier. I could move that response to a different grid, or I can make a copy and duplicate that response. So yes, that is possible. Anything else I'm trying to think of? One other thing, if you are working with multiple teachers, if you have a co-teacher, you'll notice that some of my grids, they have like a little airplane here. So that means you can make a teacher a co-pilot. So let me go back to my math grid. I can go right here to add a co-pilot. If I add a co-pilot, I can type in the teacher's email address that I want to help me manage this grid or this topic. They'll get an email with an invitation, and when they accept the invitation, then they will have the same rights that I have as a teacher. So they can help moderate, they can add and delete, they can leave comments, they can do everything that the teacher can do as a co-pilot, which is awesome when you are working with multiple teachers if you're in a co-teaching situation. I think those are the basics for um, your grids. They're unlimited. That was another thing um, that came with the free Microsoft purchasing. In the beginning, with the free version, they limited the amount of grids and topics you could have. But now that Microsoft has purchased Flipgrid, it's free to have an unlimited amount of topics and grids. It's just, you doing what you can to manage what you have.
How would you promote students to look into using Flipgrid?
How would I promote students to, what'd you say?
To look into using Flipgrid, making it a tool that they're willing to go into and use, I guess.
Um, I think maybe using it as an example with teachers and showing kids how teachers can have fun learning and sharing on Flipgrid so students can see that it's not intimidating, it's not hard, it is fun. And sometimes they don't even realize that they're learning when they're doing Flipgrid because they think of the video aspect of it and they're excited to do that part. So they're not really focused on the difficulty of it. So maybe having teachers as an example. um, our school did, at the beginning of the year, last school year, we did a 1 word challenge. So every teacher had a 1 word, and we went to Flipgrid, and everyone recorded their 1 word and told why that was their 1 word. And we showed it on our news and gave everyone the code to that Flipgrid. So then our students were able to go in and find a teacher and respond to them, telling them why they liked their word or why they thought it was a good word or why it was a word that they could use as well. So kind of getting that collaboration with the teachers and the students will help promote it, I think.
We do have a couple more questions. Can students work as a group on an assignment?
Working at what I would suggest as far as working with a group is having a response, like we had that one response, and I would have that response and then have another student respond to that and go about it that way. They can all be on, it's kind of like a thread. So it would be like a thread. So all the kids would be on one thread together, working together. But think of Flipgrid more as a collaboration or a discussion. So basically, they're discussing something or they're talking about a topic that you have assigned to them.
And then another one is there a limit of data when recording a video?
There is a time limit, so you can't go over 10 minutes. And that's another new feature because one thing I wanted to share. They have added screencasting with Flipgrid. So when they added screencasting, they knew that teachers may need more time to discuss or teach the lesson that they're using. So they have gone up from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. So, nope, not a grid. If I wanted to add a topic, um, and then I record a video. Sorry. When I click on the 3 dots here, when I made my topic, the same section where we can add a picture or whatever, we can record a video. If I go to the 3 dots here, I can screen record. So that will record my screen, and that gives me 10 minutes. So I have 10 minutes. So there's not a capacity as far as how many gigs or megabytes there are, but it does give you a time limit. So whatever you want to record in that time limit. And when you're doing the screencasting, that's just like Screencastify. So you're basically recording your screen.
So I was just thinking of a few ways that you could use this. This would be
Mm-hmm.
great for like a group little study question, I guess. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone could ask a question on a topic that they're struggling with, and then the
Yep.
students in the class could respond to that topic with their
Yeah.
answers.
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
there's a lot you could do here.
That's the thing. The possibilities are endless. I've seen a school where the principal used it, and the principal used it as an interview tool. So the principal was the only one that could see the grid and the responses coming in. but he sent out the code to the teacher candidates. They recorded themselves answering the question so he could see them. They could have a little bit of fun with the Flipgrid, but their responses came back. So he had everything in one place on one Flipgrid. And I thought that was really cool too.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I see a question on here about a tutorial for parents at home. There is in one of those links that I'm that's included in the presentation. There is a parent guide, so it does show the parents. But what I have learned, if you show the kids, they can teach anybody. It's literally that easy. Where once they've done it a couple times, they do it. I had a tech group when we were in school. I had a group of second graders. I had 5 second graders, so 5 7-year-olds, and we did Flipgrid Friday. So I would ask a question, and we usually like a would you rather. So would you rather live in a big house on the beach or in a cabin in the woods? So my second graders would take the iPads and walk down the hall, and if they saw a student, they would stop that student and say, "Hey, can you do a Flipgrid Friday response?" And they would do it with the kids in the hall. 45 seconds, done. So just
Uh,
getting them trained how to use it really, really helps, because then they can just take it and run with it.
could you take the videos and create a portfolio?
There is a way. I have never done that. I've never created a portfolio for kids because I don't have a home room. Um, I have never done that, but I know there is a portfolio aspect. I don't know where it is right this second, of course.
And then while you're looking for that, you do have another one. What was your favorite lesson you were successful with?
Ooh, with Flipgrid, my favorite. I worked with the class a couple years ago, and we did Genius Hour. So I would go in during their small groups or intervention time and work with them, having them just research something that they thought was important to them. So they could pick anything they want to do research on. And their Flipgrid was basically their journal. So every day at the last 5 minutes of our intervention session, they went in, they first created a Flipgrid, they created a video recording what their question is. And then every day after that, they went back to their video and they continued it just like a journal. So they would say, "Today for Genius Hour, I did this, I researched this, I found this." And then at the very end, they were able to record themselves presenting their creation. So some of them did like a brochure, some of them did a Google slideshow, and they were able to attach their Google slideshow. It was really cool because it helped me to see that everyone was on track or who needed extra help, but then they got to share and see where everybody else was. So I may go in and look at Johnny's video and see that Johnny's already ready to do his presentation, and I'm still on day 2 of research. I might need to get myself together so I can be, on track to get finished. So it was a very good lesson on time management, and it was also a good way for them to share and be able to look at it throughout the day. So you're not taking an hour of your classroom time going over the presentations. They can look at the presentations at their leisure and respond accordingly. So that was one of my favorites.
I did a little quick research on the portfolios aspect, and it may have changed. This article is 2 years old, but it doesn't say there's a designated way to do a portfolio, but
Hmm.
there is a hack where he created a grid and assigned each student an individual topic with the student's name and that topic,
Hmm.
and that specific student
Oh,
just responded to that topic.
yes.
Um,
Yep.
they
I
said
like
they did it
that.
once a week just to keep track of how they were progressing, and it also improved their ability to use Flipgrid over time.
I like that because I mean, whatever I'm adding to my portfolio, if it's a paper activity, I can show the paper as I'm talking. I could also attach a Google slideshow or a Google Doc showing progress that I've made over time. That's really good. I like that. I like that idea as a portfolio.
And the ability to cross post over topics, that would kind of make it
Mm-hmm.
actually kind of simple.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So that's all I have for the basics of Flipgrid. And like I said, here is um, the QR code and also a bit.ly. If you would like the presentation, it's going to ask you to make a copy of it in Google Slides. Um, so there is the bit.ly and a QR code if you would like to scan it to have it for later. Because it's going to take some time to kind of browse over the information, and then you can go in and see how other people have used it and how they have been successful with Flipgrid to get you started or to share it with your students.
And there are a lot of other I don't want to take away from your grid that you have there, but there are a lot of other tutorial grids also
Yes,
that may
there are
include more
lots of them.
information. You could
Yes.
just Google Flipgrid tutorials, and you can find some grids that have those tutorials. You can also find YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of information out there about Flipgrid.
And if you search grid guides to become an ambassador, that's one of the jobs that you have to do as an ambassador to get your certification. You have to basically create a user guide. Um, so create something that would help someone else learn about Flipgrid. So grid guides would also be a hashtag that you could look for to find other examples of tutorials, but there are tons out there.
And Askia, I don't want to speak for you, but if no one has any more questions, we are done. We will hover around in the chat a little bit longer if you do have some questions.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to stop the recording now, but we will continue to answer questions for at least another few minutes.
All right. I hope that was helpful information, guys. And